Hi, everyone. This is Phil Travis, and welcome here to History 458, the online edition here at EOU. This is the United States in the Civil War and Reconstruction period. So in this class, we will begin in the class discussing about the United States developing up till the middle of the 1800s, the 19th century, and then we will be looking at the period from 1850 through the Civil War, and we'll be finishing with the discussion of Reconstruction, the failures of Reconstruction, and the legacies of the Civil War in American history today. So it should be a pretty fun class, very, very relevant to political discussions in the United States today. Some more obvious, obviously, recently with the fairly recently with the disputes over Confederate memorial statues and so forth. But even beyond that, the Civil War is something that is very, very relevant to the United States and to various political discussions in the country, and to how the country has amended the Constitution over time and so forth. So it should be a pretty fascinating class. The Civil War remains the most destructive war for Americans ever. More Americans died in the Civil War than in the Second World War, for example. Almost 700,000 between the Union and the Confederacy. This class's readings, we have two main textbooks. Well, really, we have one main textbook, and then the other is a sort of an addendum reader that we'll be reading out of. I also will have some readings that will be posted on Canvas in our modules page towards the second half of the class. But that'll all be out there. You can read that in PDF. So I just wanted to limit the amount of books you had to buy. So our primary textbook is the award-winning, I think the best book on the Civil War, which is James McPherson's Battle Cry of Freedom, which of course is a huge, massive book. I understand that's a massive book. Well, I recommend you read every chapter. I have read every chapter, but I don't assign you and test you on reading every chapter. It is a massive book. So, but I chose that book because it really is chock full of almost all the information you could ever need on the Civil War. It's written by a really, really great historian who engages the topic in a very, objective and scholarly manner. And so I thought it'd be a great desk reference to have on your desk or on your bookshelf after this class. The other book we're reading is called This Republic of Suffering by Drew Gilpin Faust, and that came out, I believe, in 2009. It's fairly recent. McPherson's book came out in the late 80s, so it's a little bit older, but still a great, great book. But Drew Gilpin Faust's book, This Republic of Suffering, looks at the ways in which Americans dealt with and handled the extreme, unprecedented amount of death that the country experienced during the American Civil War. In the class, we have, let me just run down the basic, breakdown of our assignments. There's two tests in the class. There's a midterm and there's a final exam. The midterm comes during week 6. The final comes at the very end of the class, the Sunday at the end of week 10. You have a research paper that we write in this class, and this is an American history course, U.S. Civil War. There's actually probably quite a bit of primary source resources out there for those who are interested in working on, some real primary source research. I recommend that you, and we'll talk more about this as we go forward, but I recommend you consider, looking at some of the numerous digitized archives that are out there. And if possible, if you are nearby one, because it's an online course, so admittedly we could all be in different locations. So if possible, maybe even get a chance to go to an archive. But that's not the demands of the paper. On the paper, I'm really asking you to look at some, academic articles, academic books. Look at, 5, 6, 7 academic resources and construct a paper of about 6 to 9 pages in length that makes historical argument, an objective and scholarly historical argument. In the preparations for that paper, we submit a paper proposal. I know some of you have had me before, so you probably understand the ins and outs of this. We submit a paper proposal. There is a proposal guide that I post in Canvas, as well as at the end of the syllabus. So after you look at the syllabus, go down to the end and you'll see the paper prompt, and you'll also see the paper proposal template. There is no list of topics to select. We're upper level. This is an upper level class here, so I expect you kind of to do the reading, do the work in the class, find aspects of this history that interest you, and come up with your own topic and your own thesis and your own argument, which is very good. Practice for those of you who are going to go on and be writing a capstone project at EOU, for those of you who might even go into graduate school and write a thesis project. So thinking about how to use research and developing a research paper is really important. Another major assignment, well, it's not that major, it's kind of a lower percent, but it's still important. We will be writing a book review in this class, and the book review will be on This Republic of Suffering, so the Drew Gilpin Faust book, the smaller book. And I have a checklist and a guide out there for writing these book reviews. It's not long. It's a 600-word book review, but you will find that writing a 600-word book review and writing it well can be really, really challenging. When we get closer to that due date, it's due week 7. When we get closer to that due date, I will post for you not only a checklist on the book review, I'll also post you some sample book reviews that you can take a look at. And I recommend, go to JSTOR and search for, scholarly book reviews and use those as a guide. It's very important that we stay within the word length, though. That is writing book reviews when you go to graduate school. And if you go on to a higher level academic field, book reviews historians do a lot of. And in graduate school, most of your graduate seminars will involve you writing a lot of book reviews. So getting exposed to writing a book review is a pretty good practice for those of us looking to go beyond just the undergrad in history. So then we have 2 tests I mentioned, a midterm and a final. There's a series of quizzes, and then of course the discussion forum. And the discussion forum, what I'm looking for in the discussion forum is, first of all, and remember, you'll see this in the getting started modules, but remember, always be respectful in the discussion forum. Never be dismissive of other people. Remember to keep your topics focused on what we are dealing with in the class. Keep them academic and based on the reading, or if not based on the reading, based on scholarly outside research. Discussion posts, what I require for full credit is that you make a post or a reply. I'm really not going to, be cutting hairs over whether it's a reply or a post. I want to see you active in the discussion forum no later than Thursday. And the reason is because the discussion forum is supposed to be interactive. And so I want you to get involved in the discussion forum early, and then I want you replying to classmates. So the requirements are that you make 1 post during the week, and you reply twice to classmates, with activity occurring over 2 separate days and beginning no later than Thursday. Okay. Last little thing. So I also do something that now that we've gotten through all of the technical requirements and so forth of the class. And by the way, actually, it's the first week, so you watch these announcements to know what we're doing for the first week, as well as overall in the class. We're reading McPherson, Battle Cry of Freedom, Chapter 1 this week. We're also introducing ourselves in the discussion forum. Look, my dog Mossy just came to join us. You see, he just jumped up. Hey, Mossy, how's it going? And Maxie's down here. See, it's quite cozy here. All right. Sometimes I like to get my dogs involved in the announcements, and they're snuggling up with me right now. Moss just got up here. He said, "I want some snuggling with Daddy." So sometimes you see that kind of thing pop into the announcements. I hope. Well, I can't imagine why anybody would have a problem with that. But anyway, the last thing I wanted to mention is I have a fun extra credit assignment in this class. And if you watch these announcements each week, you'll learn what the extra credit assignment is and you'll get free points. We'll start the extra credit next week. I realize that I'm running pretty long on this announcement right now. But I like to use the announcements as a way not only to inform you with what's going on in the class, but I also like to use it as a way to sort of, teach, to, expose you to some interesting facts that maybe you wouldn't find in the reading, maybe. Of course, McPherson's book is like this thick, so it's probably all in there. But it's a way to talk about certain issues of the Civil War and present you with interesting facts pertaining to our subject. And so what'll happen, and this will start next week in week 2, what happens is I do the announcement, and then at the end of the announcement or the middle of the announcement or at the beginning of the announcement, I will state a factoid. And basically what I want you to do is I'll explain a factoid and I'll explain some historical context, and then I want you to email me no later than Wednesday by midnight, because the point is that you're watching the announcements at the beginning of the week. Email me no later than Wednesday at midnight what the factoid is, and then I put your email in a special folder, the factoid folder, and you get 1 bonus point for each factoid that you do. So there's 9 during the term. If you do all of them, you get an extra 1. You get 10 bonus points. Hopefully everybody does all of them. And then I take those bonus points and I add them to one of your test scores at the end of the term. And at the end of the term, it winds up being about 3 points on your final grade. So if you come in with like an 87, you'll wind up, if you did all the factoids, you'll know you'll get an A- in the class. If you come in with a 67, heaven forbid that anybody comes in with a 67, but if you're in that boat, that would get you up to the C. So do those factoids, and they're fun. It's another way to learn in the course, and generally students really love those things. So we'll start that next week. So make sure you watch next week's announcement to get the further details on that, get the factoid, and get the extra credit. I think that's everything. Do all the prerequisites in the Getting Started module, and the week 1 module will open up for you, and you can start participating in the discussion. So there's a short syllabus quiz, and there's a couple little detailed things I want you to look at in terms of how to navigate the course and so forth. But I think that's about it. This is a long announcement. Most of these announcements won't be that long, though I get longer and longer winded as time goes by. But let's have a great week. All right, guys.